In 1973, EMI Records offered a new band from London a standard recording deal, the same kind every other rising artist would sign without question. But Queen wasn't just any band. Freddie Mercury, Brian May, Roger Taylor, and John Deacon were four young men with vision and business instincts far beyond their years. Instead of handing over control of their master recordings to EMI, they made a bold demand that shocked the label. They wanted to own their music outright. It was unheard of. No one in their position had ever made such a request. But Queen refused to back down. For weeks, negotiations teetered on collapse. EMI executives insisted that they needed ownership of the masters to properly promote the band. Queen didn't budge. They were willing to risk everything for control of their art. Finally, EMI gave in. In that moment, history changed. Queen signed one of the most revolutionary record contracts of the 20th century, retaining full ownership of their master recordings while simply licensing them to EMI. It was a modest deal financially, but a monumental one in spirit. The band had traded short-term comfort for long-term power. That decision would echo through the decades. 50 years later, it became the foundation of the largest music catalog sale in history, worth over $1.27 billion. Owning their masters gave Queen something priceless: creative freedom. They could experiment without interference. They could shape their sound, image, and legacy entirely on their own terms. But their genius didn't stop there. In 1989, facing Freddie Mercury's declining health and the pressures of fame, the band made another groundbreaking decision. They abolished individual songwriting credits and made every song a collective effort. From that day on, no matter who wrote the song, every member would share equally in its success. It was more than generosity. It was strategy. That move kept Queen united when others would have fallen apart. While bands like the Beatles and Pink Floyd fractured over publishing money, Queen turned equality into their greatest business advantage. Roger Taylor, who had earned less before, suddenly saw his publishing income triple. John Deacon's royalties soared, and the band's creative process transformed because ego no longer stood in the way. Brian May later said, "Suddenly, everyone cared about every song. Their catalog value jumped by 60%. Productivity rose, and the unity they forged in those final years helped sustain their legacy for decades to come." Then came 1975, and the moment that redefined music promotion forever. Faced with the impossible challenge of marketing a 6-minute epic with operatic sections and no obvious radio hook, Queen did something no one had dared to do before. They made a music video. Bohemian Rhapsody became the first true modern music video, shot in a few hours for just $3,500. The visual became instantly iconic, mirroring the album cover and amplifying the song's mysterious grandeur. The result was electric, 9 weeks at #1 in the UK, a worldwide phenomenon. And the birth of the music video industry. MTV, years later, would owe much of its DNA to Queen's daring experiment. The video not only promoted a single, it changed the very language of how music could be seen and sold, but Queen's greatest act of reinvention was yet to come. By 1985, the band's popularity was fading. Their record sales were down, their future uncertain. Then came Live Aid. To the world, it was a charity event. To Queen, it was a strategic rebirth. They treated their 20-minute set as a precision-marketed showcase. Every song was chosen with purpose, every second rehearsed. And when Freddie Mercury stepped on stage that July afternoon, he didn't just perform, he conquered. In 20 minutes, Queen reclaimed their throne. Sales skyrocketed 300%. Concert fees doubled. TV licensing exploded. That one performance became the most powerful advertisement in rock history and solidified their legend. Yet, while most bands were content to dominate the West, Queen looked east. In 1975, they turned their eyes toward Japan, then considered an unreachable market for Western rock. But Queen studied it carefully. They learned the culture, the trends, and how Japanese fans connected through magazines instead of radio. They invested $50,000 in local marketing, even canceling UK shows to focus on Japan. The result? Record-breaking tours. 500,000 albums sold in a single month, hundreds of thousands in merchandise revenue. Then came their masterstroke, Teo Toriat, a song recorded partly in Japanese. It made them household names across Asia. That cultural respect turned Queen into a global empire, decades before anyone used the word brand. And when the digital era arrived, they didn't resist, they evolved. While others fought piracy and complained about streaming, Queen saw opportunity. They licensed their catalog to Guitar Hero and Rock Band, making $15 million while introducing their music to a new generation. They mastered YouTube, encouraged fan-made videos, and turned engagement into revenue. Their You Are the Champions campaign drew thousands of fan uploads, driving millions of new streams and subscribers. When the Bohemian Rhapsody film hit theaters in 2018, Queen's catalog surged 500% on streaming platforms. In just 6 months, that biopic generated over $18 million in new revenue, proof that even 40 years later, their legacy was alive, thriving, and more profitable than ever. And then came the final act. In 2022, Sony Music purchased Queen's catalog for an unprecedented $1.27 billion, the largest music deal in history. That sale wasn't just a number. It was the culmination of every smart choice Queen made: ownership of their masters, unity in their songwriting, innovation in promotion, and adaptability in a changing world. They didn't just write anthems. They rewrote the rules of the music business. From broke students demanding control to billion-dollar icons, Queen proved that true power lies in owning your art and in standing together. No matter the odds, their legacy isn't just in their songs. It's in every artist today who dares to demand fairness, who believes creativity and business can coexist, and who knows that the stage isn't the only place you make history. Because Queen didn't just perform for the world. They taught it how to play the game. And so, as the echoes of Bohemian Rhapsody still resound across generations, Queen's story stands as something far greater than the rise of a band. It is the story of 4 dreamers who refused to sign away their art, who believed that music should belong to its creators, not its corporations. From the smoky studios of London to sold-out stadiums around the world, their courage to think differently reshaped the very soul of the music industry. Half a century later, that single defiant choice to own their masters, to trust their vision, would become the cornerstone of a billion-dollar empire. But beyond the numbers and the headlines, what remains is their eternal harmony, the sound of freedom, creativity, and unity, for every artist fighting to protect their voice, for every dreamer daring to change the system. Queen's legacy lights the path forward. This has been Southern Sound, where history meets heart and every note tells a story. Until next time, may the music live on.